Today is the day we have all been waiting for. It is time to terminate this Sunn Hemp cover crop. It's just now starting to flower, which is exactly how I know that it's time. Once we let the Sunn Hemp flower or go too far into the flowering phase, the stalks get really thick and woody, and it makes it a lot more difficult to chop it down. And also the flowers are, as you know, full of seeds, and if you chop them down and you leave them on top of the soil, you're risking adding all those seeds back into your soil, and then you're going to have so many sprouts that you don't want in your soil. Now, I think there's a couple things I want to mention today. My tool of choice for chopping and dropping is this hedge sweeper. This is like just an electric hedge trimmer. And I figured I would start by chopping it down. I'm going to do a few different layers because I want the Sunn Hemp to be in small, manageable sizes that will fit on top of the raised bed and that'll break down relatively quickly. And if this hedge trimmer doesn't work at all, or if it doesn't work in certain parts, I brought my Fiskars larger hedge shears, and this I figured will just do the job if this one fails for some reason. I did not charge the battery, but I know it's got some juice. We'll see how far it gets me. And before I do any of that chopping and dropping, we're gonna look at the plant. I'll show you the signs of flowering, and then also what I want to do is pull up at least one plant, and we're gonna look for the nitrogen fixing nodules on the roots. This is something that I've been so curious about. I've rarely been able to see it. Actually, I've never been able to see it in my own garden. I want to be able to show you and see for myself the difference between a nitrogen fixing nodule on the roots and root knot nematode damage, or root knot nematode galls. So we'll start on this side of the raised bed. I'm up on my paver patio, and it's a bit higher. So once I step down, you can see the Sunn Hemp is over my head. I'm 5'2". We're looking at, a pretty tall plant. So I think let's just get into it. My goal is to let the Sunn Hemp break down for a minimum of 2 weeks on top of the soil. 3 weeks would have been maybe my preference, but my tomato starts are looking a little bit too healthy and too big, and they're not going to last. They're not going to be happy much longer in the seed starting cells. So I'm going to probably try to, plant at the 2 week mark, maybe. So let's get right into it. First, let's take a good look at the plant. Now, I have about 100 square feet of garden space that I covered in 1 pound of Sunn Hemp seeds. And I added an inoculant to help those roots. Well, it was a rhizobia, I think the name is rhizobia bacteria strain that actually helps fix the nitrogen from the atmosphere into the roots and into the soil. And I wanted to do that on purpose because I really wanted to lean into the nitrogen fixing properties that the Sunn Hemp will do, so that I have nitrogen in the soil ready for my fall plants. You can see the Sunn Hemp looks pretty dense and pretty full. We're gonna just chop it all down. This is the raised bed that I'm using for my tomato plants. It's almost so tall that it's hard to get a good camera angle, so I'm gonna bend it down for you to see. This is the beginnings of the flower on the Sunn Hemp. And we'll go over and look at the other places where I planted Sunn Hemp as well. The other raised bed, for some reason, the Sunn Hemp is a little bit taller all around. My neighbors think I'm growing something else, if you know what I mean. Here's another one. It looks like it split. And we've got several different flower heads developing on this one. I'm going to point out a few areas where it seems like bunnies, I think I caught bunnies in the act eating all of the Sunn Hemp. This is my tree ring where I also sowed some seeds for Sunn Hemp, but this one, they're much shorter, and I will show you exactly why. This is the area that the bunnies were really going after, because they don't have to jump so high to get over here. And you can see where the stalk was chopped right here, and then it branched off and grew some more stalks. It happened on this one too, and back here. So the natural question is, if I chop and drop it and leave the roots in the soil like I plan to, is it going to sprout like that? So we're gonna just find out through experimentation and see what happens. Sometimes it's fun to try it yourself and see versus reading about it. I will try to chop it all the way down so there's no leaves at all exposed, in hopes that that prevents this from happening. Here's the other side of my yard. It seems a bit taller over here. I'm not really sure why. But you can, this one's starting to flower. Lots of flowering going on the tall ones like this one. More flowering. This might be some full-blown seeds right there. So we'll chop it all down and we'll see what works, or we'll see what happens. Let's check for the nitrogen fixing nodules right now. I'm probably going to have to pull up a few different ones because the idea is that we catch it right before the flowering phase to see the highest amount of nitrogen fixing nodules. All right, I'll move the camera closer as I need to, but I wanted to show you that I'm selecting a stalk that looks close to flowering but not flowering just yet. This one's definitely off the table because it's flowering. This one, let's try this one right here. All right, I need to be gentle. I think they'll just fall off. But what we're looking for is a reddish hue on a gall, or it's a little like nodule. It's a little ball off of the roots. And I'm trying to be careful because they will fall off easily. Maybe that's one right there. Yeah, let's go on a table so I can show you with some contrast on the background. I'm gonna take my gloves off. I think those look like a couple. Right there. Do you see those little balls? And they say one way to distinguish them from, well, first of all, I don't think they look anything like a root knot nematode gall, but one of the ways is that they just kind of rub off, whereas a root knot nematode gall does not. Okay, yeah, one of them came off. Let's see if we can squish it. Cool. They're small. I guess I wasn't sure how big they would be, but I thought they would be bigger than that. See those little balls on there? That's cool. Cool. Let's get to chopping and dropping. All right, again, we're gonna start. I'm gonna try to do smaller pieces, so I'll do several rounds to get it all the way down to the bottom. Now I'm going to go all the way back through, trying to get it as low as possible, but I do have to be careful not to snip my drip irrigation lines. Might be a little slow. All right, I think I cut it down pretty low, all the way down the stalk. This is how it's gonna look. It's gonna break down in place right here. If it was a mustard cover crop, I would till it under, because mustard works by biofumigating the soil, which means you need to trap the gases under the soil for it to repel the root knot nematodes or kill the root knot nematodes. Sunn Hemp works in a different way. It's not gases that we're trying to trap, it's just the chemicals from the plant itself that kill or repel the root knot nematodes. So I'm going to leave it like this, and it'll break down over the next 2 weeks. I definitely cut at least one drip line. Let's figure out which one it was, and then we'll fix it. Okay, there's clearly one back there. Oh, okay, I cut a few, all right? My bad. I cut a few. That's one. I'm charging the battery for the hedge trimmers. This is the perfect thing to do while we wait. Oh, that's just yeah, that is snipped. I think I see this one. Yep. Oops. My bad. All right, I always keep some drip supplies on hand because of this. Reasons like this. This is the part that I cut off. I think I'm just gonna use a barbed coupler to add some more length to that. Let's see if I have the coupler and the plug. Okay, I don't think I have. So I'm just going to make a clean cut. I have to cut off an emitter actually, just because of the way that it landed. I don't have any end caps. Kind of working with what I have. Just made clean cuts on the existing line, put a coupler to put it back together. There you have it. Now we got to do that 2 more times for the other 2 that I cut. I think I'm done. Let's double check it. All right, the irrigation is on. It looks pretty good. Sometimes we got one that's spraying a little bit more, but it's not damaged. Maybe we could just turn it, make it spray into the soil instead of overhead. Looks good. The tree ring, I know you can see some zinnia right now. Zinnia is growing in there, and I didn't purposely plant them. They just self-sow, self-seed. I'm not worried about them. I'm going to cut them down. They'll be back. I am confident they'll be back on their own. It's just easier if I chop everything down. So let's do it. gotta watch out for my landscape lighting right here. I'll have to get that one with the loppers. Now we need to do this raised bed. It's gonna be a little bit trickier. I've got to dodge some stuff. Don't worry, you guys. I'm gonna buy some sod and fix the ground soon. Maybe in a week or two I'll do that. But see, I have to dodge the arch trellis and I gotta dodge drip irrigation again, so might be a little bit slow. Okay, it looks like we're done chopping and dropping all of the Sunn Hemp cover crop. I'm going to let it rest for probably 2 weeks and then get my tomatoes in that raised bed. This one maybe will rest for 3 weeks because I don't have plants already started for this one. I may do some direct sowing here and I can do a 3-week wait time over here. So stay tuned, and next week we're going to work on a video of building a big trellis on that raised bed over there for the tomato plants. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope this video was helpful. See you next time.